my presentation will be on music education in Palm Springs. So in 2005, Kevin Mixton made a paper for the National Association of Music Education that said implementing K through 12 music required the availability of instruction time and space, the appropriation of funding, and the facilitation of qualified music teachers, including instrumental music. And then he said, sadly, these conditions are presently inadequate. Today, right now, in 2019, they are still inadequate. And when I first came to Palm Springs, I was shocked because of the difference between programs. If you were to ask Palm Springs Unified School District, as I did, in an email interview on May 9th, 2019, the Visual and Performing Arts Director, Luisa Castrodal, said, all schools apart from alternative education have music programs, but all of these music programs are really poor quality. And they need help. What I will be talking about in this presentation is why these music programs are so mediocre, how they became that way in our lifetime, and what we can change to help music programs in the future. So first, let's talk about why is the music program in Palm Springs so bad. So, as stated before, Luisa Castrodal said that all the schools have music programs, all elementary and all middle schools. If you look at the elementary schools, all that they offer is chorale, recorder, and ukulele. So these classes are very underfunded because they look for cheap instruments just to start showing like young students and get them into a class. And there's no area for students to learn more and explore more because these instruments are so cheap. There's no contingency plan for them to learn more from music. And then if you look at many other schools in California, they start from the 3rd grade, while in Palm Springs, most people have to wait until middle school to start learning. In Palm Springs, there's right now just band and choir programs, and these programs are mainly used to babysit children and don't always teach at the lower levels the skills that you need to produce music. They just move students to make sure that they're not a problem. For students, it's easier to learn music when they're younger. The main reason that it came to this would be because of how it changed in our lifetime. During our lifetime, in the last 20 or so years, the Palm Springs Unified School District has changed quite a bit. In an interview on May 5th, 2019, the orchestra director of the Palm Springs High School said, strings programs and the like were popular in Palm Springs up until 1980, when Proposition 13 was passed. This was a land ordinance tax, and what it caused is for many schools to become underfunded. And then because of that, they all of the elementary schools completely lost music, and all of the middle schools in Palm Springs were crippled by the lack of music, and string music in particularly was completely taken away from the valley. It's important to note that poverty is one of the biggest things that's affecting education in Palm Springs, especially music education. Poverty, according to the public school, if you look at the statistics for the public school system, Palm Springs High School has 58% of students that qualify for free lunch. That is not reduced lunch, that's only free lunch. And that number, which is really high, it's the majority, goes higher as you go into the desert, with Mount San Jacinto being the highest at 73% of students qualifying for free lunch. When these numbers correlate highly with the number of minorities in these high schools, and it's important to note that the population of Palm Springs is actually 50% white, or 60% white and 28% Hispanic. And in the Palm Springs High School, 58% of students are Hispanic. According to, these numbers are according to the 2017 census, and most of our population as well is also over the age of 50 and may be retired. If you look at the level of poverty, our poverty is on average close to 20%. 20% almost of people in Palm Springs are below the poverty line. And of those 20%, only 10% are people over 65, and 36% are people under 18, children. What that means is that 1 in every 3 children are under the poverty line. How can we expect them to pay for classes, things that will better themselves, if they can't pay for their basic needs? An important thing to note would be Jason Powell. He founded the strings program back 11 years ago in Palm Springs High School. He actually started from nothing. He had to make a feeder program all from scratch, and with no financial backing at all from the school or anybody else. A feeder program is important because continuation and support as students go through the school is what a feeder program aims to do, to just help people as they're progressing through school, and just not let just one class come and go, because so the last thing is, what can we do to change how music in the school system is for our future? So I mentioned feeder programs to emphasize how well feeder programs help to. It is important to have feeder programs because feeder programs bring everything together. And as Daniel Isbell said, feeder programs require the support from administration, student body and teachers, and parents from the community. In the Palm Springs community, in Palm Springs, administration is currently supporting programs quite a bit. The student body and teachers are doing the best they can. So what's important now is, as parents and as a community, to come together and help each other out. A community member can endorse students that have physical needs, and we can also find people to come to our concerts, help each other out, make sure that make sure that we have an audience. And also it's important for parents to not only help with physical needs, but volunteer and help wherever they can, especially if they want their children to help, especially if they want their children to have the most out of schooling. Because having active parents and community increases the experience of students. So, in conclusion, it's important, in conclusion, the schooling the music programs in our public schools are still mediocre. We need, what we need is not just programs that will put our kids in a daycare. What we need is to support programs that allow our students for more growth and for a more streamlined just progression through our school system. And thank you for your time.